Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of Battle Cry, the only show on Indian TV that gets you up close with Indian weapons, Indian tech, Indian warriors, and how this country defends itself. Now, many of you who watch Battle Cry know that Russia is our #1 weapons supplier. But you also know that the United States has been making very, very rapid strides. India's defense minister happens to be in the United States at this time. But it's not all good news. There are some speed bumps in the relationship. A fighter aircraft is nothing without its engines, and the newest version of India's homegrown Tejas fighter aircraft, supposed to be delivered to the Indian Air Force in a timely fashion this year, is grossly delayed, but it's not principally because of any Indian reasons. It's because, as Battle Cry has reported before, that United States aviation company General Electric, which makes the engines for the improved Tejas, is not delivering the engines on time. It's become a huge speed bump in what has been an otherwise very, very smooth supply relationship as far as defense trade is concerned. The question is, can Defense Minister Rajnath Singh sort out this critical problem? In a previous episode of Battle Cry, we had told you about how the latest version of India's homegrown fighter Tejas, the Tejas Mark 1A, is all set to enter service this year, but that deliveries are worryingly delayed. One of the key reasons, a major delay in the supply of engines by United States aviation giant General Electric. The company is citing supply chain issues as the main reason for the delay in supplying the engines to India. With the delivery of over 100 turbofan engines pushed back by many months, the deliveries of 83 Tejas Mark 1A fighters to the Indian Air Force slips by nearly a year, with deliveries only expected to begin next year. With that issue and much else, Indian Defense Minister Rajnath Singh is on an official visit to the United States. While the US is headed for presidential elections later this year, the key focus of Rajnath's visit would be to expedite the off-the-shelf supply of GE F404 jet engines that power the upgraded version of India's fighter Tejas. Delivery of the fighter engines is particularly significant as delays have affected the production schedule of the Tejas fighter jet, central to the modernization plans of the Indian Air Force. Rajnath's visit is expected to push the deal forward, ensuring that India's homegrown fighter program, which relies heavily on the US, stays on track. The Tejas Mark 1 and Mark 1A variants of the fighter are powered by the General Electric F404 engines purchased from the US. The Indian Air Force in the recent past has repeatedly expressed dissatisfaction with the current pace of the Mark 1A program. The first aircraft from the existing order was scheduled for delivery by March 31st. The American engines are required to produce the 83 Tejas Mark 1A jets ordered by the MOD under a contract worth 48,000 crore rupees signed in February 2021. Hindustan Aeronautics Limited, the fighter's manufacturer, has reportedly assured the Indian Air Force that it will deliver at least 16 Mark 1A jets during the financial year 2024-25 and complete the delivery of all 83 jets by 2029. Moreover, HAL has set up a manufacturing unit in Nashik, Maharashtra, which will boost production from the current 16 jets per year to 24 jets annually. Any further delay in the supply of the American engines will further disrupt the production line, leading to delivery backlogs to the Air Force, which is facing squadron depletion. Additionally, the delays could push back key milestones in the development of subsequent aircraft variants, including the Tejas Mark II and the Advanced Medium Combat Aircraft, a fifth-generation fighter, which are to be powered by the higher performance F414 engine, also supplied by General Electric. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh, therefore, has his hands full. By far the biggest deal still in the pipeline between India and the United States is a $4 billion deal for 31 Reaper-type drones, armed Sea Guardian and Sky Guardian drones for the Indian Air Force, Indian Navy and the Indian Army. Now, these deals have been negotiated, they've been shape-shifting across administrations, from Trump to Obama to Biden to whoever's next. The question is, can the Indian Defence Minister and later Prime Minister Modi, when he visits the US, push forward this big, game-changing deal for armed drones for India? It is by far the biggest single deal for US military hardware to India. A long-anticipated contract for 31 General Atomics Reaper-type drones from the company that spawned the legendary Predator family of drones. With India finally deciding on 31 Sea Guardian and Sky Guardian high-performance drones worth nearly $4 billion, all eyes are on whether Defence Minister Rajnath Singh in the United States can provide a push towards contract signature. India is eager to finalize the acquisition of 31 MQ-9B Reaper drones being purchased for the Indian Army, Air Force and Navy. In 2019, the then Donald Trump-led US administration had approved the sale of these Predator B armed drones to India. If it goes through, India will be the first country outside the NATO alliance to get such a weapon from Washington. The strike capabilities of the Predator drone family are well known. In January 2020, a Reaper drone strike by the US had killed top Iranian General Qasem Soleimani in Baghdad. He was the commander of the powerful Quds force of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. The MQ-9B drone can carry payloads of about 1,700 kilograms over a range of 6,000 nautical miles. It can carry sensors and laser-guided bombs, besides air-to-ground missiles, with a maximum payload of 2 tons. While the contours of the deal were finalized when Prime Minister Modi visited the United States in June 2023, India-US relations have seen some diplomatic upheaval over the Gurpatwant Singh Pannu allegations against India in the years since that visit. Though it is unlikely that strategic defense trade will be impacted, the drone deal is being seen as a cornerstone to the next steps in the defense partnership between the two big democracies. The Indian Navy has been operating a pair of Sea Guardian drones on lease at the INS Rajali Air Station in Tamil Nadu for 3 years now. Acquiring 15 armed versions of these drones, in addition to 8 each of the Sky Guardian version for the Army and Air Force, will undoubtedly be a game changer in terms of military tech. Let's tell you a little bit about these systems. Each Sea Guardian or Sky Guardian system comprises the drone aircraft itself and a crucial ground control system. Crews in the ground control station handle all aspects of the drone, controlling it via a satellite link. Capable of flying thousands of kilometers away from the ground control station, the drone relays real-time images, targeting information and more. While the Sea Guardians on lease to India are unarmed, the drones being purchased will be fully armed and can be commanded to engage targets and fire at them. Flying at a maximum altitude of 40,000 feet and capable of pre-programmed autonomous flight for nearly 2 days, the Sea Guardian employs precision radar and electro-optical sensors to provide detailed imagery and intelligence over wide areas. And their weapons package includes laser-guided bombs, anti-ship missiles and anti-tank missiles. The 20-meter wingspan of these drones, as wide as a cricket pitch, has 9 weapon stations called hardpoints, which can carry 2 tons of electronics and weapons. A high-definition electro-optical or infrared sensor can capture still and video images at high resolution at extended ranges. A synthetic aperture radar can build up pictures of geographical features. A maritime patrol radar can detect targets on the sea surface. And an inverse SAR can detect, image and classify objects such as a warship over 300 kilometers away. What's clear is that India doesn't just want surveillance drones, but combat drones capable of hunting and destroying targets from the air. Often just called the Predator B in reference to the iconic baseline model, the Sea Guardian is a modern version of the Reaper, famous for raining hell on terror targets in Syria, Iraq, and especially in the tribal areas of Pakistan. The drones to be ordered by India will likely come with Hellfire precision-guided munitions, weapons that are already operational on the Indian Air Force's Apache helicopters. Acquiring combat-proven US drones would also make up for an imbalance caused by China's own deployment of Wing-Loong 2 combat drones at airfields in Tibet and plans to supply those drones to Pakistan and other countries. If the Ladakh standoff has been a wake-up call, and if India has reacted by actioning a flurry of combat purchases, pushing through the long-pending Sea Guardian Sky Guardian deal would easily be the biggest in terms of value and also the most operationally significant. Well, the big drone deal obviously hogs the headlines, but believe me, there are a lot of big-ticket things in the pipeline between India and the United States. Did you know, for instance, that the United States is India's biggest defense export customer? No small feat. But here's a look at some of the other big items that the United States is pitching at India, from infantry vehicles to next-generation fighter aircraft. Take a look. In the last 2 decades, the Indian military has taken on a substantially American flavor, with billions of dollars in deals giving our armed forces everything from heavy-lift aircraft to submarine hunters, from anti-ship missiles to attack helicopters. But this is a pipeline that isn't planning to run cold anytime soon. As the world's most prolific producer of modern weapons, and with India's rising stature and responsibilities in the region, the defense trade between the US and India is booming. On Battle Cry this week, we've told you about the mega drone deal that's hanging in the balance between the two countries, one that will dwarf all previous military hardware deals between the two countries. But there are many more in the pipeline, and the current visit of Defense Minister Rajnath Singh, while not directly linked to negotiations for individual weapons contracts, serves as a platform to push things forward and ensure deals remain on track. Let's look at some of the big items the United States is currently pushing. The nearest prospect is the acquisition of Stryker infantry combat vehicles. The Indian Army is reportedly interested in acquiring 100 of these specialized vehicles for its high-altitude battlefields like Ladakh, with the two countries discussing co-production of the Stryker in India, both for Indian and export requirements. Why exactly the Indian Army has decided to accept the Stryker is not clear though, considering that the homegrown Kestrel, a joint project of Tata and the Defense Research and Development Organization, is ready for operations in Ladakh. But it may be more down to diplomacy under the Defense, Trade and Technology Initiative between the two countries. Be that as it may, the Army has a huge requirement for high-mobility infantry vehicles in the difficult high-altitude terrains of Ladakh. And in light of the continuing standoff with China in that area, the army could be keen to get as much modern machinery into the fray as possible. The other big item that's been on the table for a few years is the American F-15 Eagle II. The Boeing-built fighter, the latest version of the legendary fighter developed during the Cold War, is a prospective contender in the Indian Air Force's global contest for a supply contract of 114 multi-role fighter aircraft, with a majority of them to be built on Indian soil. US aircraft like the F-16 and F-18 have variously participated in past Indian Air Force or Navy contests but come up short. Though Washington believes the F-15 definitely stands a chance, the only question is, would India find any sense in choosing differently from the Rafale it has already acquired for the Air Force from France and has chosen to acquire for the Indian Navy? After Prime Minister Modi's visits to Russia and Ukraine and the upheavals of the past year, not to mention the uncertainties over a looming race to the White House, the Indian Defence Minister in Washington is a reminder that the India-US defence relationship is very much on track. Well, the big drone deal obviously hogs the headlines, but believe me, there are a lot of big-ticket things in the pipeline between India and the United States. Did you know, for instance, that the United States is India's biggest defense export customer? No small feat. But here's a look at some of the other big items that the United States is pitching at India, from infantry vehicles to next-generation fighter aircraft. Take a look.